Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first episode of the Minority Friend Report. Now, this is a show I've wanted to do for a while because what I've noticed over the years is that there are a lot of movies and TV shows that are centered around a person of Caucasian origin who is going through some kind of journey. And in the process of that, they have all these side characters that are there to help them. And an astonishingly high amount of these movies feature a white person at the forefront, and then their very best close friend is some kind of minority, whether they're black, whether they're Asian, whether they're Indian, whatever. And so, but usually that minority is like typically the only one around, or like one of two out of like 10,000 other white people. And so in the past year, I noticed this was happening more and more to the point where I thought, you know what? I'd be curious to see if in a year's time, how often does that happen? Where I see that same plot where, a white person, whether it's a male or female, is going through a journey and has these minority friends or a very, very close personal minority friend. I see that a lot in Christmas movies, especially. So I figured I'd go ahead and start documenting that. So this is in no way a means of bashing Hollywood or bashing white people. This is just an observational show where I point out, hey, I saw this movie or this TV show featuring this white person and their minority best friend, and we talk about the minority best friend. So with that said, funny enough, I saw a movie on New Year's day that on Netflix, and it was called Long Story Short. And of course, I was like, it's a love story. I love watching love movies, so I clicked on it. And sure enough, first movie of the year that I see has the same exact thing going on. So let's go ahead and talk about it. So long story short, basically it's a story of this guy named Teddy. And Teddy's a very, very much a procrastinator and is always waiting to the last minute to do things, and is also a lot of times pushing off doing things that are life important because he figures, I'll just get to it eventually. And so this lady comes along and gives him this wedding gift with this girl that he meets, who's also minority, but we'll get to that later. But anyway, so it's this gift that basically every few minutes of his life now, he gets jumped ahead in his life by like a year. So let's say he just gets married, his wedding night, he goes to bed with his wife, or while she's going to the bathroom, minutes pass by, next thing you know, boom, he's a year later into the relationship. And this goes on and on for like 10 years straight, okay? So in the course of this movie, though, he has a best friend, and his best friend's name is Sam, and he is played by Ronny Chieng, who is of Asian descent. I don't know specifically what origin of Asian descent, so forgive me if I don't know that. But yeah, he is definitely of Asian descent. And he is the best friend who hypes his friend into marrying this girl. And then as the years are progressing, he'll meet up with his friend, or he'll call his friend the year before and say, hey, the next year, show up at my house with a gift for my wife for my anniversary because I keep passing through time and I keep forgetting the gift or whatever. And so you'll see him come into the house and give a gift, and he's there to hear Teddy woefully go on about how his life is passing him by because he's jumping time every so few minutes. And then at some point in the movie, you find out that, oh, Sam has cancer. And that would be an interesting plot line to figure out because, that's a really big thing. But no, the cancer is designed as a story jumping point for his friend to realize the passage of the time and how, eventually, spoiler alert, a couple years later, he finds out that Sam dies, and it makes him realize the importance of, being with your friends in the now. So you see, he's being used as the character to be able to help the main character realize how important his life is and how he should take things slowly, okay? But at no time do we follow, Sam's health journey. We see bits and pieces of Instagram of him being in the hospital, so we know that he got cancer and died at some point. But his part to the story is not really nearly as big as the white person's in the forefront, okay? Also of note, he does marry a woman named Leanne, who's played by Zara Newman. She looks like she's of mixed descent. I can't tell if she's black and white or whatever, but she definitely has some form of black heritage in her. But even her, she's the woman that he marries, and then she's a bigger part of the story in the sense of, as the years are progressing, their relationship is breaking down, and he's seeing it by way of every time he passes through time, it's like, oh, something else happened, or oh, they're separated, or he was too busy working, yada, yada, yada. So she's still used as a means of him being able to see, oh, I need to treat her better or whatever. So that's just an example, though, of things that I typically see in these kind of movies whereby it's again, you have the white protagonist And then his story is the one that's leading the thing, but he has these minority characters on the side to help him figure out where he needs to be by the end of the movie, okay? So I'm going to keep pointing these out as I see them throughout the course of the year, just so you guys can start to get an idea of how often this happens. If you're not a minority, maybe you've never noticed that before, I as a minority see this on poster boards, on TV shows, all throughout Hollywood and on TV and on streaming services. So I just thought it'd be an interesting thing to see. So that's the first movie I saw. So, I mean, it's a good movie. I liked watching Long Story Short, so definitely check it out. But it definitely did have that trope in it, all right? And by the way, if you guys have any movies you want me to see or point out that had this thing going on whereby there's a main white character with a bunch of with a minority friend or a bunch of minority friends that aren't really focused on too heavily, feel free to leave in the comments those movies that you'd like me to check out and talk about on this show, all right? That's all I got for today. I'm APT Songs, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. I'm out. Peace.